Hello ladies and gents, welcome to Reaction. I've been waiting for this video, hoping that would come out, and it did. Iran shooting down US F-15E is worse than we all think, but it's acceptable obviously. Yeah, it's F-15E, not the C version. C is the air dominance one, while E is converted as like a bomber type plane, which I'm guessing it's supposed to fly low. Yeah, it's a whole thing right now. One pilot was rescued as far as I think. Other one is like no information is out. And by the way, a helicopter was shot down, and even A-10 is shot down. Is the information going out? Suddenly, US's planes are dropping like flies. What is happening? I don't know, man. This is just weird to me. I feel like this is like a misfortune thing. You know how one guy stumbles and after that all the guys stumbles type of situation. F-15 got shot down, and I said in the video that I reacted to just a few hours ago, like I see all these helicopters flying low. I see AC-130, HC-130, the recovery one flying low, and I'm like, F-15 just got like shoot down because he was flying low, and you're flying low as well. Isn't that a risk? Apparently it is if more got shot down. So yeah, I don't know what's happening, but it's gonna be interesting. Let's watch this one.
Day 35 of Operation Epic Fury, and Iran is screaming, and they're letting everybody know that they took down an F-15E Strike Eagle. Looks like it was from the 494th Fighter Squadron out of RAF Lakenheath. You can see that the tail on the actual pictures from the crash site show that red stripe at the top, which is aligning with that squadron at Lakenheath, and Iran is claiming that it was with one of their new air defense missiles, which we'll be covering that throughout this video. Iranian state media is saying, and the IRGC are triumphantly hailing.
They just made the missile just now, by the way. They didn't have that missile for past month or so. They found the missile just now. It's not a manpad, it's a missile.
As proof of resilient defenses, initially claiming it was an F-35 is what their initial propaganda machine said, but they showed the wreckage, the tail wreckage, specifically of the F-15E. And then the ejection seat images that they've showed, those don't look like the actual ejection seats from an F-15E. It looks like something different. The handles...
If they had shot down F-35, I'm not gonna lie, I would be sitting here saying like, okay, that's commendable. Iran, you shot down F-35. I would never have seen the day, but apparently you shot down F-35. I would have said that. But it's not F-35, it's F-15. There's no way in hell they're going to shoot down an F-35.
On the ejection seats for the F-15Es are on the side, and the ones they showed are up above near the pilot's helmet. But they're vowing broader and more destructive retaliation, and they're rejecting any claims of a ceasefire as well. But here's the part they don't want you to hear about. While they're celebrating about taking down an F-15E, which it looks like one of the crew members has been safely recovered. That's the number one thing, is to get the crew members back. So looks like one of them have been safely recovered, likely by Air Force pararescues and potentially other special operators getting them out of the country, but there's still one that is being searched for. I'll be giving you the latest breaking news on what the operation is to try to get that second crew member. But Iran is celebrating about this while their tallest suspension bridge, the B-1 bridge, 136 meters high, was just hit near Karaj in Iran. It could have been hit by F-15E Strike Eagles. This is a targeting solution that the F-15E Strike Eagles practice all the time. The bridge got cut in half by an American precision airstrikes, never to be used again, or at least not for a long time. It's a military supply route. But the big win here is the rescue of one of those F-15E crew members, and God willing, there'll be the rescue of the second one here soon. There's a daring multi-aircraft operation taking place right now as we speak, involving HH-60G Pave Hawks refueled by HC-130s, with the search for the second crew member continuing. Because remember, in the F-15E, there's a fighter pilot in the front and a fighter Wizzo in the back, weapons systems operator in the back of that F-15E. But the F-15E hauls serious heat and weaponry. It's a true workhorse that's built for these deep strikes and air superiority. So these F-15E pilots are risking their lives every single day because they're the ones that are being asked to go deep inside enemy territory. And remember, it's a fourth generation fighter. So with Russia...
Look, maybe I'm talking out of my behind, but I feel like this is kind of an F-up, or at least that's what it looks like to me. you cannot have an air superiority when anyone can use a manpad. You don't know who in which home in which building has a igla basically or igla type launcher. So you don't have complete air superiority, right? There's another term that USA use as like almost air superiority, right? Air supremacy. If you have that, you should not use planes that fly low and have basically you shouldn't use F-15E. Find other ways to launch missiles. You have a million ways to do that. So I don't know why risk F-15E like that and why risk the actual people, because political element, let's not even think about the human element, which is a big deal here. Political element, it's a big F up that Iran captures an American soldier. That is big. That is bigger than shooting down any American thing. That is bigger than damaging any American thing. Capturing a soldier, that's politically, that's way big. So why would you risk that? That doesn't make sense to me. Somebody comment down detail like why you had to use F-15E that flies low and drop bombs.
Russia and China helping Iran to advance some of their weapon systems, targeting a fourth generation fighter can happen in a lucky shot, in a one-off. Even after the different surface-to-air missile sites have been struck down in Iran, there's still a couple of these because the country is so massive. There's still some of these that exist that can do exactly what we saw happen here. But it's one of America's most capable fighters, the F-15E, and Iran has been able to take down one among thousands of sorties being flown by F-15Es, F-16s, and other aircraft.
A month
but
straight.
President Trump has been briefed on this. Caroline Leavitt said he's gotten the briefing, but likely right now the number one focus is making sure that every single asset is focused.
By the way, I also got comments like, I'm glad you're watching to a video that is different from your other video, which are like American propaganda. This is not the first time a plane been shot. It's like, I don't know what the number he said, like 5 or is it 15? Like that's how many planes have been shot down in past month. I'm like, okay, first of all, where is your information coming from? Is it what Iran said? Because they're literally showing AI images. No confirmed report of like an actual plane shot down by Iran exists. Are you counting the Qatari friendly fire? You're just saying, oh, that was on friendly fire. You're choosing to believe things. That doesn't make it reality. I'm an engineer. I've been on internet for long enough time. I know when to take things with a grain of salt. I'm not the guy who believes into one-side biased things. I would pick that up very easily. I don't have the skin in the game, like I said, right? I'm not like pro-American or something because that doesn't even make sense to me. What is pro-American going to get me? What is the benefit for me in that? So if there is something fishy, I would be like, I don't like that. I would have said that. But there is no information that indicates that Iran shot down any 5-15 plane, whatever you said. So that's just weird. You choosing to believe some information without any proof. This is a proper shoot down, and all the American things, including Mach's afterburner, is talking about it instantly.
Focused on trying to find that second crew member. That's huge. And finding that second crew member while showing Iran that their power plants, their bridges, all their different infrastructure are fair game. And with President Trump saying this on Truth Social, with a little more time, we can easily open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune. It would be a gusher for
I thought he was going to talk about did Donald Trump said anything about F-15? Did he had any comments to give? Because it's very interesting to me, like what Trump's response is going to be. Is he going to be aggressive? Is he going to be pissed off? What is the response going to be?
World. So the focus right now, preparing the battlefield, striking the infrastructure, the Marine Expeditionary Unit is in the area, and now the USS Ford is trucking back or sailing back towards the area as well after getting some repairs done. So now even more naval air power being sent into the region. And
Okay, carrier user for departs crush after Liberty. You already did the repairs on a Ford? So in Croatia is very close by from where it was, but still, that's insane.
the carrier strike group, having more of those is just going to increase the combat capability to open the Straits of Hormuz. And the strikes on the B1 bridge are hitting Iran where it hurts, hitting the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, right where their money flow is happening. But let's pop to X for some latest breaking information on the situation. So here we are on X, everybody. Here's what we're seeing. One crew member from the F-15E shot down over Iran has been rescued by American forces and is receiving medical care per officials cited by NBC, Reuters, CBS, New York Times, and others. The search continues for the second crew member.
Okay, I'm surprised that the first crew member didn't know about the second crew member. Both of them ejected together. Wouldn't they be in similar area? Wouldn't one call out for other, or were they knocked out? And the first one found out was really injured, because at that point he wouldn't know where he is, let anyone else.
Confirmed reports of any detainment in Iran so far. And here's the different images that we're seeing. So they originally compared this to an F-35 tail. Propaganda machine initially said it was an F-35, but the wreckage here you can see.
Why not say F-22?
Clearly,
if you're go with the big guns, why not? Okay, it's like a very rare F-22. F-22 is only with Americans. They don't sell to anybody. You know what? We shot down F-22. Why go with F-35? Just F-47, like it's the first one and we already shot it down.
F-15E from the 494th Squadron out of Lakenheath Heath. The shooting down the US F-15E fighter jet over Iran today. Fates of the pilots still unknown. And this is a shot of that jet out of Lakenheath Heath as well. You can see the red tails here. One U.S. crew member from the downed F-15E jet have been rescued, as per official sources are telling us. So Godspeed to the pilot or Wizzo that's still out there. I hope they're safe and I hope they are rescued very soon. There's a view of the F-15E Strike Eagle, and then bringing you guys in to actually the location on where this is taking place here. But it's a big province. It stretches kind of the center mainland portion of Iran itself, and then on this map you can see
Okay, did Max create this map, or this map exists of where they bombed places? I'm guessing that's what those icons are.
A lot of the different strikes that have taken place. Lots of strikes over the last 24 hours. And then F-15E going down. Obviously tragic, terrible. We got to find that remaining crew member. But this is potentially what that F-15E was up to. This isn't confirmed yet, but lots of new strikes happening on the infrastructure in Tehran. Looking at this B1 bridge and seeing it coming down. This could have been the target by the F-15E or B1s, B-52s, but now
it would have been awesome if B1 bombed that bridge. It's like, you said my name. It says B1 bridge, so it's mine. Come on.
Striking down the actual infrastructure in Tehran that is supplying the war machine, supplying the drones and the ballistic missiles. That seems to be a main focus, and an F-15E mission could definitely have been to drop this bridge as well. Here's more information coming in. This is from Military Times saying U.S. forces rescued downed F-15 crew member in Iran, and the search for the second continues. One of two U.S. F-15E Strike Eagle crew members shot down by enemy fire in Iran has been rescued. Israeli media first reported that U.S. officials confirmed the reports in statements to CBS News and to Axios. So the search for the second crew member is ongoing, and that's why we see that C-130 out there. That CSAR, Combat Search and Rescue HC-130J, is also seen refueling HH-60G.
So I'm guessing you just took the Ghost Rider and removed all the weapons from it and turned it into like search and rescue one.
Hawks over Iran, doing everything they can to locate that crew member. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Friday today, she told the Military Times the president has been briefed on the downed U.S. F-15E fighter jet. The Pentagon and U.S. Central Command did not immediately respond for requests to comment. And then Iranian state media, they shared those images of the F-35 and the F-15.
Why did that plane look so weird? Was it a buffer issue with the video?
Jet.
Look at that. Look at, see how it stalls when the video goes up.
Central Command did not immediately
and look
respond.
At that, it just stalls there again. Is it the buffer error?
For requests to comment. And then Iranian state media, they shared those images of the F-35 and the F-15E debris, as well as the crash site. And then Axios is reporting that as well. The latest, Iran is hunting for the crew and has asked civilians in the area to join the search, offering a reward if
60,000, right?
Israel's helping the U.S. with intelligence in order to...
They offered $60,000 US. in Iran, which is like 8 million or something, 8 million Irani's currency. So let's just get this straight. If you're listening to like 60,000, that's nothing. Yeah, but in Iran, that might be too much, right? So there might be a big number.
To locate the other crew member, the officials said. It sounds like the 2 crew members ejected from the F-15E after being struck by Iranian fire. U.S. Special Forces located one of the crew members and rescued him alive on Iranian territory. And Israeli officials said Israel canceled planned strikes in Iran so as not to hamper the search and rescue efforts. And then I wanted to cover this. This was very interesting. This is Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn commenting on the war. So let's have a listen to that real quick.
Seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
So I understand what Joe is saying. We can't even really define why we did it. And I think there hasn't been a lot of information to keep the civilian population informed. But for...
Wait a minute, didn't Max address this in one of the video? I think I remember that. Am I having deja vu moment? I don't know.
For decades, the U.S. military has been preparing for this because of Iran's thousands of ballistic missiles, thousands of drones, and a nuclear weapon that is held by a radical cleric. So it's different. The mentality in Iran of the Ayatollah class, the Mullah class, is much different than the U.S. They are a religious doctrine that governs the country, and they want to eradicate Israel and the U.S.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Like, I understand what Joe is saying, and I agree on certain level. You can have 2 sides to things. Like, things are complex, let's just say. It's not always, it's either this or that. So I agree with Joe. Why now? Why this specific moment, right? What instrumental thing happened now that it had to be in the start of the previous month, right? Why then? And yeah, I agree with that. Like, what, nothing monumental really happened that you had to do this operation. But there's also that element, like, okay, so when is appropriate? Okay, they're enriching uraniums, great. You did the Midnight Hammer last year. Maybe in Trump's head, it's like year is too long time and no progress is being made or something. Or maybe in the background, some calls were being made that you don't know about. And Trump just like, you know what, enough. You don't know what happens at that level, right? If reports to go by, it was probably Netanyahu who's Trump like, yeah, we are going to do this anyway, so it's now. This is the best time to hit the hammer. Hit the hammer when the iron is hot, and right now iron is the hottest. Netanyahu basically encouraged Trump like that. J.D. Vance got pissed off and basically screamed at Netanyahu, like, you told Trump that this was easily winnable war. It wasn't. So this whole thing, now who knows how much truth is in those statements, but that's the thing that's out there. But yeah, I agree with Joe. Like, okay, Trump ran out no wars. He didn't like war, and that's why people voted for him. But there's also an element of you got to do what you got to do. But there's also an element of why this specific moment. Why not 6 months from now? Why not a year from now? What instrumental thing happened now? Could be something that Trump knows and average people doesn't. Or maybe Netanyahu basically said, like, it's now or never. We could do this from a year from now, but right now is the best time or something. So, I understand what Joe says, right? And the only thing I'm going to say is, like, we actually don't know what happens in those meetings, in those calls, right? What happens at the highest level. We don't have all the information, right? This is why, like, those, Brexit referendum happen. I'm like, how is average person supposed to know what happens at the highest level? That's why we have government. You can't just give vote for it. What should we do? How about give vote for every single decision that top people make to average people? They're going to make wrong decision every single time. They're not educated on the matter. This is why politicians are elected.
West. That's their number one goal. So them having a nuclear weapon, the whole reason why we've heard for decades that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon is because we know that they will use it.
Jump ahead
That's
for
their
what?
goal is to eradicate the U.S. and eradicate Israel. So I know it's hard sometimes when there's maybe not a direct attack on the U.S., that we can look at and say, look, they directly attacked us. But I understand the frustration. But to me, when I look at it, it looks like Iran was shielding their ability to have a nuclear weapon that then likely at some point, the Ayatollah, using religious doctrine, would direct it to be used against Israel. And then Israel's going to use them against Iran. And now we've got a nuclear war on our hands. And not to mention, Iran controlling the Straits of Hormuz, they're teamed up with Russia and China. So if China wants to take Taiwan, they have to have that flow of oil through the Straits of Hormuz. And if Iran owns it, they can give China as much oil as they want to conduct that war. But if the US has influence there, the other Gulf partners have more of a say on what happens in the Straits of Hormuz, then China has to think twice about a war and taking Taiwan. So Iran is claiming it was a Syad 4B missile fired from the Bavar 373 system. That's a two-stage solid fuel.
By the way, China is also aggressively going towards electric, by the way, and they have means to sustain electric. They're even trying to make artificial sun. These are not just gimmick thing. They are when it comes to energy, they're trying to move away from like conventional means like oil, coal aggressively, right? So when things like this happen, they don't have to rely on Strait of Hormuz.
Fuel beast. It's no joke on paper, but it boasts a 400-kilometer range is what they're saying. Probably somewhere around 100 miles does make sense, and it's very fast. They're saying it can go Mach 5. It uses an active radar seeker in the terminal phase for precision homing against high-speed jets, and it's built to shoot down fourth-generation jets. It's paired with inertial mid-course guidance and data link updates. Iran claims the whole setup is highly mobile, and that is likely. It's likely.
Where are they getting technology? What is they just made the technology? I'm guessing China is giving them. You don't just develop the technology. There's a reason why a new company doesn't just come out and competes with Apple and Samsung, right? It takes time. You can't just build technology like that and like, yeah, okay, it just works. Look at it, accurately target everything. No, you can't just do that. So if they actually have that, China probably gave them.
Mobile system that can be loaded onto heavy trucks. Quick to reload is what they say, resistant to electronic warfare. It's kind of their homegrown answer to Russia's S-400. And it's been said that Russia...
Resistance to electronic warfare, resistance to physical warfare, is impenetrable, is invincible. Yeah, just say all that. Why not?
And China are
but most things are not resistance to electrical warfare. That's why electrical warfare is too overpowered. That's why US destroyed everything in a month and nobody could touch them. Electronic warfare, like, yeah, that's too powerful.
Helping to update and adapt the air defenses in Iran. And as these fighters fly over, some of these radars that are still operating are gathering information at all times. And unfortunately, in this case, they got that lucky shot off, which looks to have taken down that Strike Eagle. But the S-400 is a very capable Russian system, and the Bavar 373, that's the system that Iran is trying to use to be as capable as that Russian S-400 system. But in reality, Tehran is bragging about shooting down this F-15.
I'm sorry. Again, I don't have the skin in the game. I don't care. I don't care if Iranian think technology-wise, not the human-wise. I do care on the human level, right? Life matters. In war, lives gets lost, that's effed up. So I don't want people to get confused and angry comments. I'm talking about the technological level. I don't care if Iranian technology can take down American technology, because I'm not, I have no skin in the game. I'm in the center, right? I'm in the middle. I don't care. But I don't believe that their Bavar 373 actually worked and took down F-15, simply because where was this system for past month? Why is it suddenly working now? Right? It's probably man-paired. That's what I'm saying. Right? Again, I don't, I keep having to give these disclaimers. I don't have the skin in the game. I'm neutral, right? If I felt like this is probably true, I would say that, yeah, probably this Bavar worked and shot down F-15. F-15 is very old plane. I would have said that. But even then, I don't believe it, because where was this for a past month? It was probably some kind of man-paired, like Igla thing.
While they are still getting absolutely crushed militarily. And one of the crew members is safe, already confirmed, and now the search continues for the second with heavy air cover up overhead. But the F-15E Strike Eagle carries a massive load of weaponry, a massive load of fuel, huge weapons load for air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. It's fast, it's maneuverable, and it's built to penetrate heavily defended airspace. Look at this image right here. Look at this video right here. This was from Iraq. This is an F-15E targeting a Shahed drone. It's trying to come in slow behind the drone, likely going to fly past it because the drone is just going so slow. But again, the F-15E can turn back around and then take this thing down.
He's like doing drive-by and just looking at it with aggressive eye. I'm coming back. I'm coming back there.
But remember, the F-15E, it's not stealthy. It's not like the F-35 or the F-22. So some of these different systems, the more advanced ones in Iran, can get lucky shots off on aircraft like this. So here's how Iran likely did it. They likely used the Bavar 37.
Yeah, you do have F-15SE Silent Eagle, which has like stealth paint on it, which makes it really stealthy, surprising level. Probably stealthier than the even like Su-57 or something, like radar cross-section wise. I'm like, how does a paint make you that stealthy? That's insane.
Their upgraded radar with detection that goes out to a couple hundred miles, they could have picked up the F-15E last second by keeping the radar off and then turning it on once they could hear the actual jet noise itself. And the F-15E operating at medium altitude, or if it had to use afterburners, that could have highlighted it as well. And then the Sayyad 4B's two-stage design accelerated towards the aircraft itself, giving the pilot very little reaction time because they're not turning the radars on.
Okay, I'm going to say this. It could be bravado. Did I use the word right? It's probably right. Because USA thinks that they have complete air supremacy. So they probably thought, oh, probably nothing, no Bavar system is there. We probably took all of them down and just, got too comfortable. It could have been one of those things. If that is the case, that mistake's not going to get repeated again, right? Because if there was any indication or there could be a system, wouldn't Growler be around just to jam it? Why risk it otherwise? I think they never thought like Bavar could be around if it was around.
Till that F-15E is directly over top of that radar system. So the possible factors here: lucky shot during a high threat environment, saturation of defenses, multiple launches, even man pads in the area maybe launching as well to distract the F-15E crew. Temporary degradation of some sort of jamming could have been a part of this, but the F-15E is very good at fighting against that jamming. But the F-15E's size and its radar signature do make it a bigger target than the stealth platforms that are operating in the area. And in contested mountains in this section of Tehran, kind of central parts of Tehran, the terrain could have masked the launcher until it was just too late and the F-15E was basically directly over top of where this missile was launching from. So the IRGC is going to...
You also need to understand this, that if this missile was shot at F-15, and even if the flares shot out, flares shot out, if it was too close, the flares would have shot out, the flares would have attracted the missile would have exploded, but F-15 is still close enough to get destroyed. Just destroyed enough to crash. So you need distance, that's the thing. If it was flying low, and if they were like, even at that point, no system would have helped.
Use this as a propaganda victory, obviously. But again, this single hit doesn't change at all who fully controls the skies over Iran, but there are still threats, so you have to honor the threat.
There you go, people. F-15 has shot down. Just pack up, go home. America lost. Where's the referee? Call the referee. There should be middle referee, right? Referee comes in and throws the towel. Okay, America lost. Go away, because that's how things work. Yeah, I'm sure people are going to claim that in social media. Oh, America basically lost because one plane was shot down. In India-Pakistan thing, oh, look at the Rafale shot down, so India basically lost. Or what about the 20 plus bases of yours that got blown up, and none of the Indian thing ever like even come close to being blown up? Oh, let's not talk about that. Rafales was shot down, so Pakistan won.
We've talked about that before on the channel. But overall, 12,300 targets have been struck with precision, including that B-1 bridge, and now focusing on striking more of the infrastructure. But let's talk about the actual operation itself, and we're seeing that take place right now. That is a SAR, search and rescue operation, involving HH-60G Pavehawks and HC-130 tankers, while the search continues for that second crew member. But that brings us to the 4D.
Yeah, one of the Hawks probably got shot down. That's the news. A-10 got shot down. That's the news. Where did A-10 come from? Like A-10 was around? Like, I don't know about that. Hawk could have been shot down because even like a few hours ago I said that like things are flying too low. They have to. They're trying to search it. But that also increases the risk. Or the same people who shot down F-15 could also shoot these helicopters and things.
strategic analysis section. So bigger picture, Iran is getting a temporary propaganda boost from shooting down an F-15E Strike Eagle. The IRGC is flooding state media with the wreckage photos and victory speeches, trying to rally domestic support to show the population that they're in control and they're in charge. That's the whole goal. The regime wants to assure their own population that they're actually winning. And another big victory here for the US is getting one of those aircrew members out of the country already. So that is success, and hopefully we're 100% and we can get that second aircrew member out of there as well. But the whole goal here for the US is absorb this headline, take a little bit of a hit here, and then continuously deliver the real damage to the infrastructure in Iran and maintain overwhelming momentum without getting dragged into the propaganda back and forth. So the IRGC will keep issuing their dramatic statements about the F-15E being taken down. However, many more F-15Es are continuously taking it to the heart of the IRGC at this point. But let's break down and tip our hat to the SAR forces, the search and rescue forces. When I was flying in combat, just knowing that these forces were there gave me an edge of confidence. So when the F-15E went down, the combat search and rescue machine kicked into full high gear immediately. HH-60G Pavehawks loaded with U.S. Air Force pararescue flew in, refueled mid-mission by HC-130 Combat King tankers to extend their range deep into Iranian territory. Those PJs are the elite of the elite. Combat medics, parachutists, divers, and mountain experts trained to insert themselves into hostile environments, stabilize injured aircrew, extract them under fire.
Yeah.
One of the crew members being located, they'll treat the injuries if needed, and then get them out of there as fast as possible aboard one of their Pavehawk helicopters. Already safe for the first crew member, and now
there's a high chance things that are happening right now will get a movie in the future with an Oscar attached to it. That's the level of thing that might be happening there. Black Hawk Down type of situation.
Searching for the second, and that continues right now. Dedicated assets providing cover and coordination across those rugged mountain passes near the crash sites. Speed, night ops, overwhelming firepower, and the unmatched skill of the PJs get U.S. forces back. That's what they do. Even though the IRGC is screaming that they scored a win here, the pararescue getting that first crew member out is a huge win, and now they're doing everything they can to get the second one out. So what do you think happens next? Let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think over the next week or so we see even more strikes on the energy infrastructure?
I think that's going to happen now. I'm not going to lie. I think that's what's going to happen now. I think Trump said, I'm going to destroy your energy structure if you don't make a deal. Instead of making deal, F-15 got shot down. And yeah, possibly, like one of the pilots might get captured. And if it does, I think Trump's going to go completely insane and energy structures will go down. That's what's going to happen. Things going to escalate because of this. We'll see what happens. But yeah, there you go. All right, well, Iran shoots down US F-15E is worse than we all think. Watch our Max Afterburner. If you like my reaction of subscribe, and I'll see you next time.